Oh, this is exactly why I never film in the morning. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. Well, it is morning time, so I'm not sounding my complete normal self, but we'll get through this. I normally don't film in the mornings, but that's just how my schedule worked out this week. So here we are today talking about, from Hourglass, some of their newer products. I recently just picked up their new pressed powder. This is the Vanish Airbrush Pressed Powder. And because I picked that up, I thought to myself, all right, I'm finally going to give their skin tint a try. This is the Hydrating Skin Tint. I'm not normally a skin tint girly. I mean, I can use like a lighter coverage foundation and I know I'm going to get like some longevity out of it. But I never understood skin tints because the ones I had tried, usually just when I put it on my skin, I was like, so what just happened? Or it had absolutely no longevity to it whatsoever. And literally like an hour or two later, I was like, did I do anything? But since this one from Hourglass launched, I think it was last year, I've heard nothing but really good things about it. And that's kind of the thing. Usually when things launch, there's just like this hype always. But I wanted to see if the hype continued. And I still hear people saying good things about it. So when I was in picking up the powder, I got color matched. I got the shade 4. All right, let me give you a little information on it. So it does come in 18 shades, at least that's what it is on the Hourglass website. It is $49. It's a little bigger than a normal moisturizer. It is 1.1 ounces. So what am I saying? No, it's not. All right, and I'm going to put on these spectacles. Oh my God, they're so dirty. And I'm going to give you the benefits according to the Hourglass website. Instantly boost skin's moisture levels by 52% for a dewy glow. We will discuss that. Visibly plumps and smooth skin, lightweight, comfortable sheer coverage, provides all-day hydration and comfortable all-dry wear. Formula includes 94% naturally derived ingredients. Skin looks renewed and healthier, put a pin in that, non-comedogenic and vegan and cruelty-free. Now the call-out ingredients are meadow foam seed oil to replenish nourishing fatty acids to strengthen the skin moisture barrier, hyaluronic acid, plant-based squalane, and naturally derived rambutan blend to increase hydration, boost moisture levels over time. Okay, so that's a lot of claims, and honestly, those are the claims of moisturizers usually. So there are moisturizer ingredients in here, and I knew to a certain degree it was going to be a moisturizing, it was going to give me that like dewy natural look. Let's talk about it while I put it on. And so I thought, okay, great. Like this might be nice for me to use instead of a moisturizer. The first time that I tried it, I had on my normal full face of hydration and moisturizing ingredients. And that turned out to be too much because it was just like rolling and bunching up on itself. It wasn't laying down smoothly. It just looked like a hot mess. And I was like, wait a minute, $49 and everyone's raving about it. So I washed it off. I did just like my basic one toner, a light moisturizer. I let that sit for a few minutes and then I went in again and it was much better. And now I've had this for about, actually a week and a half now, and I've worn it 4 times. 4 times is a lot for me in a week and a half, considering I don't wear makeup every day. Now, I put a lot on my hand, and that is one of the things that I noticed about this. I actually use more of it than I do a regular foundation. Not a good or bad thing, just is what it is. And the other thing, I'm using like a denser brush. This is from the makeup, the Morphe by Ariel collection. This is the A24 brush. I like this because it's a denser brush. I did try using it with one of my favorite foundation brushes. This one here from Sephora. This is their 64. I like this one. I think it works great for most of my foundations. It does not work great for this skin tint. I just didn't get like the coverage that I wanted, and I just didn't feel like it laid it down nicely. So using a denser brush was definitely much nicer. Now you can see like there's just a little bit, like comparing side to side. I haven't done a full face yet, but already it has that renewed and refreshed look. Overall, that is my favorite thing about this. It does make my skin look renewed and refreshed. I don't, like I said, I don't love skin tints because I usually feel like they don't do anything. This does something, but while still leaving my skin feeling and looking natural and lightweight most of the day. I'm not going to say it's a long wear situation. I think the longest I've worn it was probably 8 hours, and that's about its limit. At least that's been its limit for me. We're now starting to have like more days where it's a little more humid, and on humid days my makeup just doesn't last as long. However, I'm also not great with the touch-up. That's why I picked up this beauty. All right, let me finish putting this on. Now I have been finding myself going in with a second layer in my cheek area because that's where I have most of my hyperpigmentation, and I like that to just be like a little more evened out looking. Now, as you can tell, it doesn't seem like it does a lot, but it does give me that renewed and refreshed look that it claims, and I do like that. I don't use concealer with this. I just bring it up under my eyes and pat it out with the brush. For me, this is like a makeup that I want to use when it's like just a very casual day, but I know I'm probably going to run into people that I know. I guess I like this so far very much. Now, it's summertime. I don't think this is going to be my go-to for that sort of thing in the summertime because we get a lot of humidity here. And because it is so dewy, I don't love it. Maybe on the less humid days, for me, this would be great the rest of the year when it's not humid. I just think it is really lovely. It does seem like it's a shade too light for my skin, and it's definitely, where's the cap? It's definitely going to be too light for me as the summer goes on. We did try shade 5, and that was too warm for my skin tone. The shades are flexible. It's Hourglass. I never feel like their complexion products, their foundations are right for me. I just don't feel like they have enough cool undertones. So it's not my go-to for looking perfect, but I think it's nice, especially when I get the rest of the makeup on. If you have oily skin, you're not going to love this unless you live in like a dry, arid climate, or you're in air conditioning all day, or you're traveling on planes, anywhere where your skin, you can be dry and oily at the same time. Sounds a little crazy, but your skin can be dry, but your skin also producing oils. It's basically like it's overcompensating for that to happen. But anyway, if you're oily, I would wear it with caution. Now, as it like is sitting on my skin, I feel like it gets better and better. It's kind of what I've always wanted a skin tint to be, but it's never been for me. All right, before I bring you guys the powder, let me get some more of my face on. All right, so that took me like 10 minutes to get the rest of my face on. This is just like easy, natural, it's not a big deal, but I wanna try this powder. Now, I have used it a few times. I can't decide if I am like, I can't decide how I feel about it. So it feels very silky smooth, just like all their powders do. It's a matte powder, which I'm not used to that from Hourglass. That's just not their thing with their powders. They're usually glowy. They give this like soft focus. Some of them are glowy. Some of them are like, have a little bit of a sheen to them. Some of them just give you that like lit from within. So using this is like a little bit of a learning curve for me. Now, initially, I didn't like it under the eyes because I used this little pad. The little pad is not great for under the eyes. I actually like using this Real Techniques brush. This is their 402 because it's a little fluffier. Of course, dab off a little bit, and I go from the outside in, and this is just to set. This is not at all to look like I have powdered under my eyes, because with this powder, if you think you're going to like bake, you're not going to. You're actually going to just make it look cakey, which is strange. Maybe I should tell you about the powder first. Jeez Louise, Jennifer. So this is $54. It comes in 5 shades. I have the shade Translucent Light. I was between that and Translucent, and I think this is fine. Let me tell you what they say about it. It's a talc-free pressed powder, blah, blah, blah. Non-drying formula, instantly absorbs excess oil while minimizing and blurring. Can you see I have my computer like right up to my face because I don't want to put my glasses on? Minimizing and blurring the appearance of pores. Infused with microspherical powders like our #1 best-selling Vanish Airbrush Concealer. Easily sets makeup and touch-up throughout the day with travel-friendly packaging. It goes on to say a little bit more, but here's the thing. One of the things I do like about it is travel friendly. A while ago, I think it was last summer, I was actually looking for some sort of a pressed powder compact that actually contained a puff or something in it. I literally could not find it. If you look at most of your compacts, like the Pat McGrath, there's no puff. The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless, no puff. The Westman Atelier, no puff. I was like, how am I supposed to touch up my makeup throughout the day if there's no puff with it? I ended up buying the Gucci one. That's what lives in my purse. But I thought it would, and that's actually a little bit bulky. It's kind of like a thicker, you know how compacts can be. But I liked that this one was a little sleeker. It was going to fit in some of my clutches a little more easily. So that's mainly why I bought it, is for touch-ups. However, I did use it a couple times for setting this particular, what is it called again? Avail Hydrating Skin Tint. So I just dab in here a couple times and I go in the areas where it's really shiny, because you can tell this is a very dewy skin tint. Fine, that's just how she is. But I don't like my entire face to look dewy. But also, you cannot use as much of this powder as you would another powder. It's kind of impactful. But I do want to set, because I just don't want to look greasy. But I'm not setting everything. I'm not setting my cheeks, because I do have like blush and a creamy bronzer on there. And I like them to still have a little bit of glow. So that is all of like the setting I do with this powder. And a little bit more on top of my upper lip. No one likes a sweaty looking lip. It's so gross. All right, so that is all the setting that I do with this. But as you can see, like the two of them together do give me that like refreshed and renewed look that this claims. Now, let's be honest, this is a luxury line. $54, $49. I spent over $100 on two products. That's crazy, but that's what you get from Hourglass. But I do like this kind of natural, fresh look that I get from it that I'm not getting from my other foundations. I actually really like it a lot. Now, the reviews on this have been all over the board, at least what I have seen, which is to be expected. I mean, different skin types, different like experiences with powders, different ways of using it. For me, I found less is more. Not using this to entirely set the whole face is better for touch-ups. But if you are oily, I think you would like this a lot. If you have dry skin, just like a minor little set and minor little touch-ups. Don't go in there ham, blotting your entire face, because you're gonna look a little too dry. And let's face it, when we're using these products like a skin tint where we still want to look glowy and dewy and not real makeup-y, we really don't want to overset with powder, because that's going to just kind of like give us too much of a dry look. It's not going to let us look refreshed and renewed. I've had the hardest time for a long time just like figuring out the point of a skin tint and how it really should look. This is the only skin tint where I get the point and I like how it's supposed to look, because they told me refreshed and renewed, and that's what I'm getting. Do I think you need to run out and buy this? Not necessarily. But if you like a less is more makeup look, if you don't like using foundation, if you just kind of wanna, I don't know, make things a little bit more even, a little more glowy and dewy, I think you might like it a lot. But if you have a ton of foundations and you're able to achieve this look without this, then why bother? The shade range is a little like, it's not, I don't love how they do their complexion product shades, but that's just how that goes. But for me, getting this sort of look for an on the go, gonna be running around town, probably bumping into folks, this is what I want. But just remember, if you're using the skin tint, don't go in with your normal skincare routine. If you do a lot of hydrating ingredients, like I usually use 2 toners. Sometimes I like the glycerin from Experiment. Definitely don't use that if you're gonna use this. If you're gonna use a moisturizer, I would maybe use a moisturizing sunscreen and that be it. Let it have at least 15 minutes to dry down, and then you can go in with this and you shouldn't have any issues with it like pilling or rolling up on itself. But if you have a fully, like very hydrated face, you're not gonna like this. And then you're gonna have to wash it all off and start from scratch like I had to a couple days ago. I do love this packaging so much, but I find myself always like having to wipe off the fingerprints. It makes me crazy. As for the powder, if you are looking for a pressed powder to keep in your purse just for touch-ups, it's great. If you're looking for a pressed powder that actually has a puff in it, this is one of very few, especially at Sephora. It's great. But if you're looking for an all-over setting powder for on the daily, and you have very dry skin to mildly dry skin, I don't think you're gonna love it. If you have oily skin, I think you'll like it very much. Although if you are gonna be setting on oily skin, use the puff like in the targeted areas, like around the nose, maybe between your eyes where you get a little bit of shine. But for the rest of it, using a brush and just gently laying it down might work a little better. It's gonna help you not get like a cakey look. But if you're like me, normal to somewhat oily in the summertime, this is more of just what I did. Just a light setting and a very light touch up during the day. Look at, I've got my fingers all over it again. It's immediately gross. All right, you guys, that is all for today's video. Obviously, I'm pretty pleased with these products, but there's a lot of caveats. And if you guys are new to my channel, hello, my name's Jennifer. I'm obviously into all things hair, skin, and makeup. If you are too, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. That's the most important part. And my videos go live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And as always, I want to thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.